guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I seriously need a new intro, but that will be a conversation for another day. If you guys know anything about me, it is that when I launched By the Blazer, my number one mission was to help women build disruptive, invaluable, and one-of-a-kind brands. So we could not have my client Danielle Lowy on, who is literally building an entire empire around mustaches. Okay, but not actually. Danielle is a marketing expert. She literally has a background in so many incredible Fortune 500 companies. She works for Amazon currently, building this online business, literally skyrocketing with sales and success recently because she has really learned how to build a business around a unique point of view and identity and a true vision for what she brings to the table. I know a lot of you guys are building businesses right now that feel stuffy. You feel like you have to follow a set of rules in order to be successful. And it doesn't make you feel like you can be in a business that is fun and playful and expansive. And I know that a lot of you guys are craving that. So the reason I want to have Danielle on the podcast is for so many of you guys that are either wanting to start a business or scale a business that is built around your unique zone of genius. And because Danielle is a self-proclaimed mother of the misfits, for all of you guys that are feeling a huge identity crisis as you're navigating the online space, navigating this new world of marketing, I thought her expertise was very much needed. So with that being said, I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Danielle, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Danielle, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you on because I'm not kidding when I say, you guys, Danielle is a very different person than when I met her. I mean, we've known about how long have we known each other? A couple years back and forth?
Yeah, I feel like I stalked you a while on TikTok when I was doing money coaching, and then kind of like full circle found you again this year.
Yeah.
So I've known you for a few years now.
But like different Ashley Bennington then, different Danielle then, and obviously like kind of a new venture this year. For anyone who doesn't know you, can you give them an insight onto your new business and how you transitioned from money coaching to the new business? Like when did that happen and when did you make that pivot?
Yeah, so I started in the coaching space because I was really, really bad with money. I got myself in $12,000 of credit card debt and I learned how to get out of it. And I was like, holy shit, women don't know this. I want everyone to know this. I'm the kind of person where I learn something. I'm like, I need everyone to know this. Like, I need you to do this. This is possible for you. So I didn't even know what coaching was. Like, I just made an Instagram post and was like, I did this. I know about money. If you want me to help you. And then it kind of just turned into this whole coaching business I didn't even expect. And it really took off really quickly. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is cool. But then I realized I'm like, I don't want to coach women on money. Like that's just something I was good at. It was a hobby, but it wasn't like my purpose and my passion. I loved creating content. I love marketing. I come from a 13-year career working in marketing and just like the creativity. I've been on the agency side for all 13 of those years. So it's just like really scrappy, creative energy type of stuff. But I was like, I don't want to do money coaching, but I don't want to do marketing because that feels really scary. I was like, I don't want to, my entire identity was around marketing and like I built my career around it. I did all this stuff. And it was like, if I fail, if I can't help people with their marketing, my entire identity just crumbles, right? So I kind of like for a year after that, I was like, I'm going to teach people confidence and like, I'm going to maybe touch on marketing, but then I'm not going to touch on it again. I kind of went and did this like game for a year where I was like dancing around marketing.
Yeah.
I went through like 5 different evolutions of what I was talking about last year, which is why I made no money. But it was like, I'm going to teach you emotional intelligence. No, wait, I'm actually going to teach you self-mastery work. No, I'm going to teach you like personal branding. And I kept getting closer to it and I like didn't want to actually touch it. And then I eventually got to a place at the beginning of this year where I was like, all right, you're fucking good at this. We're going to own this. Like you are going to go balls to the wall on this because you know what you're talking about. Like stop dicking around all this other stuff and get like really focused. And I just started owning it. Built a business around marketing and it's really taken off ever since.
Yeah. I know Danielle personally, which is really fun. And I have like such an honor of seeing you in such an interesting space and seeing you through this journey because like Danielle, if you go to her Instagram, which of course we'll link, is so fun and quirky and cool. And 2 years ago, I did not know that she was like a funny, quirky person. Like she was very serious. And like, I remember your like money posts and things like that. Something that entrepreneurs really struggle with is the fact that you have to kind of dig through the dirt in order to like get to the other side and get to like the clarity. Last year, you mentioned like you didn't make a lot of money and you were kind of navigating this. Like, how did you handle that emotionally? Because I could imagine that like you probably were knowing that you should go into the marketing route, but also like fucking avoiding it and having to navigate through maybe process of elimination to finally get to the fact that like you know what you were meant to do all along. Like, did you struggle through that? Was that a fun time? Was it like crying all the time in the bathroom?
I was crying all the time. I was like in the bathroom, always crying in my bed. I was like, Mike, my husband. I'm like, I'm not good at that. Like it's such an easy thing to play into because I think what was hard for me was with money coaching, I had my own personal story. So I was like, I did this, you can do it too. And so it was really easy for me to market that. With marketing, I didn't have that necessarily. It was like I mean, I did because I grew my money coaching business. I was like, you can do this too. But it became more from like my expertise and my consulting background. And I was like, well, I don't have this like super emotional story. It's just like, I'm really fucking good at this. So I felt like it was like, I couldn't claim it because I didn't have this crazy story of like, I started with $1 in my bank account and I have $1 million. So like, I can't claim to be a good marketer when really I have like a whole career history of that. And I have so many examples. And I really had to like sit down with myself and be like, what are the actual, I remember I had a mentor tell me this one time and she's like, I need you to write down like all the rational reasons that someone should hire you. And I like had this entire list of like, I've done this and I've managed this much money and I've done this and I looked at it and I was like, why am I thinking that I'm not good at like because I have this background, like I saw a lot of people online who were claiming to be these like marketing gurus and social media gurus, and really they only had such a very
Yeah.
limited experience of like, I grew an Instagram business in the way that I knew how to grow it. It worked for me, so now I'm going to teach people how to do it.
Right.
But they didn't actually understand why it worked for them, or they understood why it worked for them specifically because you
Right.
don't have that marketing background. You don't know how to teach someone else how to do that or why it worked for them and take that strategy and apply it uniquely to their business. And I started seeing all this like advice out there that I was like, this is not right for these people. Like, I don't agree with this. So it was kind of a combination of
Yeah.
like realizing, okay, we need to stop doing the pity party thing because it's just keeping me stuck. And I need to own what I'm doing. And I need to like really take a stance and like connect to my why of like, I feel like, there's a lot of people who are given wrong advice and they feel like they see these people who, are these like Instagram gurus and these cool
Yes.
girl aesthetics and they have all these big wins and stuff like that. And they're like, well, why is it not working for me? I'm literally doing exactly what they're doing and they don't understand why. And I didn't want that to be the case because I was thinking to myself, like, there could be literally women who want to build businesses that start to use these strategies or like copying other people and they don't understand marketing. And then they decide like, this isn't for me. And then they will not go on to impact all the people that they could impact. And that like fear alone was like, all right, you need to step the fuck up and like show people how to do this, or else there might be people who like quit their business because you didn't show up in their life. Like there were people who, when I was doing money coaching, who paid off debt, who learned how to invest, who will retire like
Right.
years earlier. And if I had not made a silly little post on Instagram about it, they would have never found me, right? Like I have a client right now who literally she messaged me the other day and she's like, she came in very insecure. We worked a lot about on her confidence and she's like, I'm the most disciplined I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been, the most confident I've ever been. My screen time is down. Oh, and by the way, I like made $70,000 in my business last month. It was the highest revenue month. I'm like, of course. Like, and she's like, you've literally changed my life
Yeah.
because of like an Instagram post. I think it was just
Yeah.
like owning that and manning up and being like, we're done with this like pity party, feel sorry for myself. It's like, why is my business not actually growing? Why am I not signing clients? And I got really real with myself and got really honest. And it's like, well, because you're talking about 10 different fucking things all the time, you're crying yourself to sleep instead of like figuring out what the problem is. So I just had to like really get real with myself.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? I talk to a lot of women who like their story is really difficult to build a business around. That was the opposite of you. I think, but I wonder, knowing you also too personally, I feel like your story felt black and white. It's like, this is what happened to me. So, like, of course, I feel confidence around this. Whereas your authority was like, there's a gray there because it's like, well, how do I tangibly say, like, I'm good enough here? Or how do I tangibly say it here? It's like less black and white, which is funny because a lot of people might think that is more black and white. You actually were the opposite because some people think selling their story is hard because it's like, well, how do I like define value here? And then their resume of like, well, I have 10 years of marketing experience or 13 years, like that's black and white to me. You were like the opposite of that. I don't know if you've ever like thought of it that way, but like
Yeah.
your story felt tangible. Like I can't deny the fact that I did this, but your authority that you had built and worked at and developed over time, you didn't see that as like as authoritative and
Yeah.
didn't have conviction around that. I think until really recently. That's more of a statement than a question, but like I'm really thinking about that. And most people think the opposite. You thought differently than most people do.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to a client about this yesterday. It's so hard because like I am a marketer, so I'm surrounded and I work at an agency. I work for Amazon. I work for a lot of like I'm around really good marketers all the time. Like that's just who I surround myself with. And then
Yeah.
because of the algorithm, I'm served with really good marketers all the time. So I think it was like I'm just like mediocre at this. Like I don't know, and I kind of convinced myself that my experience wasn't valid or like it wasn't as good because I'm surrounded by it all the time. And then as soon as I started working with clients and I started like really paying attention to how people were marketing themselves, I'm like, oh wait, this is not something that everyone knows. And I actually do have authority here and I can help people and I can teach people this.
Yeah. How do you navigate the fear around that? Because when you start a new business, it's very scary. And I have a lot of women who want to start businesses who listen to this podcast, and they have the same fear of like, what if I'm not good enough? Or what if there's other people that are better than me? When did you have the moment where you decided to push that aside and show up? Or did you have to just build that over time by like starting to show up and starting to like navigate that in the process? Did you have a decision making process, or did it happen just naturally as you step moving forward in the business?
I think naturally I've always kind of been someone that's like, I don't really care what people think about me, because for me it's always been like, I do. Like there have been times even like this week where I like go to post something, I'm like, what are people gonna think about me? I don't know, but then I post it anyway, because it's like my purpose has always been so much bigger than my excuses. And I know like when I started off, people sent videos to their friends, they were talking about me, they were laughing at me. Like there was actually a time when I was doing, I think it was when I was doing money coaching, that I was getting a lot of hate comments on YouTube shorts specifically. And I just wanted to get used to it, because I was like, oh, the more that I'm actually rubbing people the wrong way, I'm probably doing something right. So I actually set up alerts from YouTube to email me all the comments every single day that people were sending to me, so I could just read them. So I could just like get
Get it
used
done
to them
with?
and neutralize them and just be like, it's normal, right? So I just
Yeah.
got used to that. And I've done a lot of shadow work around it, and it's like the more that you show up, the more you're going to piss people off. And like it's never about me. Like it's not ever about me. And I've been able to separate myself from that and that reactivity from other people.
Yeah.
And because I have these little stories now, I think in the beginning it was hard, but now that I have these little stories, like I changed this person's life and this person paid off their debt and this person, I have a client right now who literally didn't even have a business when she started working with me. Now she's signing clients every single week. Like I have all these little stories that I keep coming back to of like, well, but if I don't show up, then that might not be true for someone else. So I always come back to that, and that kind of grounds me in. I think there was a while in the beginning where I actually had a whole document of testimonials that I would look at when I would waver or I would question myself or things like that, or people would judge me, that I would just
Yeah.
come back to. So I think it's just like coming back to your why and just knowing, like, honestly, and I tell my clients this, no one really cares about you. Like they really don't. Like you think
Yeah.
you're like everyone's at a microscope looking at you. They see your piece of content along with 50 other million pieces of content a day. They think about you for a second. Like you get so worked up about one person's comment who literally thought about it like 10 seconds later. So
Yeah.
that's just the reality of it. Yeah.
It really is. How long did you do money coaching for? Like, how long was your
For about a
journey
year.
in that? Okay, got it. And
Yeah.
you just posted on social, and then the business came from that?
Yeah. I remember it was an Instagram post to my like own personal Instagram. And I was like, I'm gonna run this training. It's free. And I think like 20 to 30 women showed up, and I just like taught and I showed them how to do this. And then I was like, maybe I could like do something with this. And then I started researching and I
Yeah.
started just like taking on one-on-one clients, and then was like, okay, I think there's something here. And then I kind of just figured it out. It was messy, it was scrappy. And honestly, like that was, and you might feel this too, but like that was like the most brave I was in my business, and the time that I didn't care what people thought, because I didn't
Yeah.
even know like the coaching world existed. I didn't know all
Right.
these rules. I didn't know, like I was just like, I just have this idea. I want to help people. I'm just going to show up. And then more recently, I've been trying to get back to that, because I feel like there's been so many rules and so much how you're supposed to do this. And that's kind of like my whole evolution that you kind of alluded to in the beginning was when I first showed up money coaching, like I was like filming TikToks with my hair in a butt. Like it didn't
Yeah.
matter. I just like got my value out there. Then when I started getting into this like coaching world, I was like, oh, like I have to be a certain way for people to like me. And I started to think that because I was doing marketing, which was like a serious topic, and I was handling people's money and I was handling people's business, that I had to show up like super professionally. And I actually had a mentor in the past tell me, like, people are not going to take you seriously when you're wearing what you're wearing, when you're doing what you're doing, when you're sharing that part of your life. Like, I really think that you should be in a blazer.
So she would have said no to the mustache content.
Oh my God, no. Like there's one video that I was wearing like chicken earrings in, and she was like, we are not doing this anymore. And I was like, okay, but I love my chicken earrings.
God.
Yeah, so there was like a time period where, and I was not making sales during this time because it was so performative, where I was so professional and I like had like the professional footage and I talked in a certain way that was very like professional. I'm a naturally just kind of like calm,
Yeah.
grounded person, but it was not me. Like, and I would wear blazer. Like, I don't even own blazers. Like, I literally do not. I went to the store to buy them for content like that. I'm like, I don't
Oh
even
my God. I didn't know that.
work from home. Like, I don't see clients. Like, and I felt like I had to show up in a certain way, and I had to be like very direct and very like
Yeah.
You know, when you don't understand, I talk about this a lot, when you don't really understand like your personality and how you influence people, which everyone does this differently. Like you are more like direct and a little bit more like you're more direct than I am. I'm like more grounded and you're more like shifting people's perspective, things like that. I'm more of the like I can do this, you can do it too. Come along with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone has different ways to influence people, and it's just really magnetizing when you do it in the way that's true to you. When you're not and you're performing and you see how someone else is showing up, you start to be like, oh, I have to be like them. And I did that for a while. As I was like, I have to be really professional. One of my biggest insecurities for my whole life was that I'm very calm. I'm not very bubbly. I'm not very emotional. I'm not like, woo, like I'm not high energy. Like my presence is very loud when I'm in a room just because of who I am, but like I'm not loud, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I always had that insecurity, so I always gravitated towards people in business who had that personality because I was like, I have to be like them because I don't have that. It was like I'm missing this part of me, and then I showed up and I performed, and so it was like a mixture of me. I show this all the time in my content, like the way I used to film content, which was like so animated and performative, and it wasn't me. And like my fucking blazers, which I don't wear, versus now, and you can just like tell the difference. Like it's just people don't
Yeah.
trust you. They won't be able to articulate, but they just don't trust you when you're performing and you're trying to be someone you're not. And I think it makes sense in certain instances. Like my target audience, I go after the misfits, the weirdos, you know, the people who aren't like LinkedIn brands. So it makes sense for me to just be in my authentic self. If you are someone who like, I'm really trying to go after like this certain audience, it might make sense for you to like maybe
Yeah.
change what you're wearing. But I finally just was like, this is not me. This is not, I was like, I'm building a corporate, I'm trying to get out of corporate and I'm literally just building a brand
Yeah.
that mimics corporate. So like, why am I even doing this? Right. So that was a big evolution for me.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because I agree with you. A lot of people assume that as you scale and you build authority, because yes, it might be a different business, but like you've done the business thing, right? Like you've had clients, you've had success, like you have a marketing background. People assume that in the beginning it's the hardest. You alluded to it. You're like, I was just brave and I started it and then everything was easy. And you actually were really authentic to yourself in a lot of
Yeah.
different ways. Like maybe not fully, but like you kind of didn't have the rule book. You didn't have the like, this is what other people do. You kind of just like figured it out on your own. It
Yeah.
kind of is like you walk into like a big field where like there's no path. You just kind of go out and you can just make it on your own. As people tend to scale, they hire mentors, they have influence, they have more awareness, and it almost like puts them in a box. And people don't talk about this enough because they think like clarity comes with the investments and the scaling. And a lot of times people shut down and they lose themselves. And you obviously did not. I think you feel more free and aligned than ever. When did that like pushback resistance happen for you where you said, like, I'm being forced into this narrative? I'm finally going to pivot and do it my own fucking way and not fall victim to this set of rules that actually doesn't exist, but we think exists. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you're talking about. When did that happen for you? Like, when was that moment?
So what happened for me was I was doing the pendulum swing where I was like so in my business, filming content, blazer, like that. And then what would happen is I would repel against myself. And then I would go to a music festival, not log in my business for 3 weeks, and just like was doing this pendulum swing. And then I was like, this is who I want to be. Fuck the blazer, blah, blah, blah. And then I would go over here to the other side. And then I was like, wait, this is a little too far. Now I'm going to come back. I think I'm actually don't know what I'm saying. I need structure. I need so it was a lot of like this pendulum swinging, which essentially was like myself trying to show myself you need to find balance in between the middle because I was trying to be both. So it was like, okay, I need to figure out what is really me and what I want to create and get clear on that. And I think what was hardest for me personally was, and these people absolutely exist, just I didn't see anyone who was doing what I was doing in the way that I wanted to do it, where it was like, I'm so intelligent and I'm so good at what I do and I'm so like such a strategist. Like I'm such a
Yeah.
strategist, but I'm also like wearing a mustache and I'm fun. I go to music festivals and I talk about
Yeah.
psychedelics and I'm like really free spirit. Like I just didn't see anyone like that that I could role model off of. And so it felt like I have to like this isn't right. Like and I kept trying to
Yeah.
lead and be the person to do it. And then I was like, oh wait, no, I don't see anyone doing this. So this might not be right. It was a combination of like we need the pendulum swing is a big red flag for me of we need to figure this out and like find that medium because the pendulum swing shouldn't be happening. You're
Yeah.
basically like repelling yourself and rebelling against yourself. So that was a big sign for me. And then it was like just accepting that I may not find someone who's doing what I'm doing, but like how can I be the innovator and go first, which will be really cool because then there will be clients who see me and are like, oh my gosh, I'm the
Yeah.
misfit. I'm the weirdo. Like I don't feel like I fit like this like cool girl Instagram, like boss babe archetype on Instagram. And if she's doing something and she's successful, like I could be at that as well. So that's kind of what life's.
Yeah. I think that's like very, very cool. And I do agree. You're a very grounded person. So for you to feel like you're like all over the place is very
Yeah.
out of alignment for you. I know like self expression is a big part of your brand. Like you're very big on like self expression. You're a lot of like, there's an energy about your content, again, without being like loud or crazy, that's very fun and very free. When did you start to get validated in that? Like, I mean, obviously you started incorporating that a lot in your content. Was that validated from the growth that you've had, the clients you've had, the way you felt in content, a combination of that? I can imagine that that's really changed the way you've showed up this year.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever did get validated, honestly. I think it was just like me choosing that, and I'm actually coming out with a program that's very rogue and like I don't know how people will respond to it. And I think it's funny, I was talking to a client about this yesterday I think it was talking about like, oh, how do you care about people not judging you and things like that? And I said something like, well, I show up in a mustache, like I don't know. And she's like, yeah, I didn't even think twice about that. I think what's happening is maybe the validation has never been said or it's been there of like, oh, I really like that you do this. I've had people, the brand recognition is there. Like people send me
Yeah.
mustaches all the time. People send me crazy earrings all the time. Like, oh, I thought of you. So I'm building that brand recognition. But I'm starting to see the type of clients that I'm attracting. And while they may not be as rogue as me or like even go to music festivals or like do whatever, it's just a different energy. And like I made a post about this the other day, but like the other day, just within 1 week, I had like my bong sitting in the background. A client hopped on and was like, oh, I like your bong, blah, blah, blah. And then we started talking about business. And that's cool. Like, and I had another client who came to me and was like, I want to start maybe doing like mushroom facilitation training. Like, what do you think about that? And I want to talk to you about that because I know you're not going to judge me and you're going to talk me through it and be like, okay, so how do we sit down and like actually bring this to life and reverse engineer
Yeah.
this? So it's like, and I'm starting to feel these conversations where it's really cool of like, oh, I get to work with some epic clients who are very similar to me, who like to party and like to go to music festivals and like to go outside and camp and like have fun and are playful, but they're like serious businesswomen as well. So I think that validation has been in the clients that I've been able to work with now and attract because I'm truly showing up as like who I want to attract and who I want to be.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really powerful. And I'm assuming there's gonna be women that are listening to this that are like, I reject that because, like, what if I'm not professional? Or, like, will people take me seriously? I mean, you help women with this all the time. Can you talk to that woman who's sitting and they're like, but I can't, like, do this, or I have to be professional, or I have to, like, look a certain way? How have you seen, like, the dynamic of the types of clients that you're signing and also just the way that you're showing up? How has that shifted when you erase that narrative?
What the work really is and what I had to do was there was a part of me that I was rejecting, right? And this like shadow work 101 is I was rejecting this part of me. I couldn't handle the duality. And I think we have a really hard time with contradictions. And contradictions actually do really well in marketing because people are very interested in it. So like I can't compute this in my brain. This doesn't make sense that you're like this smart, but like you also like dress like that. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I had a really hard time with the contradiction. And so what happened then is I would see it play out. I was rejecting that part of myself. So then it was becoming very obvious via the pendulum swing of like, you're like this, and now you're like this, and now you're like this. And it's sabotaging your business. So I had to see that to be like, oh, I have to figure out what part of me am I rejecting to be able to accept that about myself. And a lot of times, the part that we reject about ourselves, the part that we suppress, is actually like our biggest marketing superpower and our biggest superpower in general. So that's something that I was so insecure about was like I'm very grounded, I'm very calm, I'm not very emotional, I'm not very reactive. And I was very insecure about that for a while. Now that I've accepted that part of myself and I've integrated and I understand how it's my superpower, people come to me because I'm that grounded and regulated. I'm not all over the place and I'm not like, so I start to attract those types of people. So it's like I actually think the thing that we fear the most about ourselves or we reject the most about ourselves is really our superpower. Once you can learn to integrate it properly and you can learn how to use it in a really grounded way, because I think there was a time where I was like, oh, I'm grounded, so I'm going to like talk like this. And then I did it in a like a performative way still. It's like when you naturally just feel safe in who you are, it's just becomes your superpower and you just become really magnetic and people just want to pay attention to you. Like I get messages all the time where people are like, I don't know what it is about you, but like I like your vibe. Like I just like your
Yeah.
vibe.
That's the best thing is when your brand, there's power behind it that doesn't have to be like an offer or something that you're providing. It's just like people
Yeah.
feel connected to the way that you're showing up and like how you make them feel. I love that. Can you tell me about your event this year? Because one of the things I'm most proud about for Danielle is she was like, I'm going to host an event. And literally, like, I mean, within days, within weeks, that changed. Was that something that you ever saw yourself doing? Do you feel like you were ready for that? Can you give me the process of like prepping and deciding I'm going to host an event and an in-person event at that was very successful and very crazy, and also I think very like life changing for your brand. Like, how when did you decide to do that? What was the execution? Give us the details.
Yeah, I really wanted to do in person. I'm just an in-person gal. Like so social. I'm always seen as the person in my friend group who's like the connector where I just like bring everyone together. I'm always one organizing. Like I just love being in person. And I naturally just like speaking. Like I like public speaking, I like leading, I like influencing people. That's why I like marketing so much. And I've gone to a lot of really cool life-changing events myself. One of the events I went to, I flew over the world to Australia. We wore a weighted vest, 20-pound vest for 3 days straight, could not take it off. We did all these like insane exercises just to be able to show like how much we could regulate ourselves and what we could prove to ourselves. So I really like these events that I've gone to that were very much, because it's one thing to watch the courses and listen to the trainings and listen to the podcasts and do the things. But like when you're there in person, A, you can't hide. And B, like you just learn the lesson in your body. So like when I went to Australia, there's like very intense moments. And there are still moments to this day where if I'm like, I feel something very intense. So I start to get really emotional. I bring myself back to that retreat of how I felt and how I regulated myself. I even have a tattoo on my wrist that says do what's required, because when I was doing push-ups, like I just kept like looking, like just to remind myself. There's just something that happens when you're in person that you learn on a cellular level within your body that you can then take with you after that. So that's kind of the experience that I wanted to create. And probably about a year ago, I decided I want to create some kind of in-person experience, but I didn't know what it would be. I knew it would be very different than a lot of the experiences that I were seeing people create, because I am just a very like thought-provoking, deep, direct person. And I'm also like really dramatic. So like it had to be dramatic, of course. Yeah, I created an event that was really all around, I see a lot of events I could create. They're very motivational, high energy. You can do this and you're powerful and blah, blah, blah. And I've been to a lot of events like that. And it's like the energy is really cool once you're there. When you leave a week later, it's gone. So I didn't really want to create an event like that. I'm kind of someone, and this is just naturally how I mentor people, is like I will cheer you on, but like I'm not the one that's going to be like, you're great, you're killing it, you're doing like, I'm the one that's going to be like, why are you not killing it? Like, what's going on here? Like, let's look at this. And I'm a big blind spot revealer, and I will ask you the tough questions. I think a lot of people, especially those in the online space, don't get a lot of experience being in really high pressure situations. I have a lot of that experience because I work in corporate. I work for big Fortune 500 brands. I've sat across the table from CEOs, CMOs of these Fortune 500 brand companies, and they've asked me to pitch myself and they've questioned me, and I have to sit there and I have to defend myself. And so I have a lot of experience with managing really high pressure situations and backing myself and trusting myself. But I didn't feel like there were a lot of those type of experiences for women and opportunities to do that. So that's essentially the concept behind my event. Is I created simulations that we go through as business owners. And not everyone there was an online business owner. I think actually half of them were not. But that we don't typically get to go through being our own boss, and especially a lot of these small business owners. So, the simulations were centered around projections and what people are thinking about you, judging you. How can you pitch yourself under pressure? How can you articulate what you do when people are questioning you and things like that? So it's a lot of very like simulations to reveal to you where you actually don't have control, where you do question yourself, where you do doubt yourself, where you do feel like your emotions are coming up and you can't like regulate yourself and stay calm. So that's what the event was designed to do, to really show women the lack of control they have, or just like the opportunity for where they can start to control themselves better, and just how that's all leaking into your marketing.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful though, because I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of woo woo and high energy, and people don't know how to facilitate for that for themselves. So what happens is then you become dependent, kind of like a coach or like a cheerleader, right? You get become dependent on that. We really like struggle to find that within ourselves. What shifts were you seeing happen for women? Obviously, there was a lot of different individuals here. How many people were at the event?
I think 5 or 6.
5, 6. Okay, I was gonna say like it wasn't a massively like large event, but you had like a really intense
Yeah.
session. How did you navigate the emotion of that? Because I could imagine that there was like a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings. What was coming up for women? How were you navigating that? How are you navigating your own emotions? Like bring us into that room, because like I remember you came back with like just like an eye-opening like whoa of what could happen. And just, I mean, it was a very short event, but like a very very powerful event. And just
Yeah, I didn't know how it would go, honestly, like, because I did feel like it probably would be emotional, but I didn't know, like, I had no idea
yeah.
what was gonna happen. I had no idea. I'm someone who I, like, rarely cry if I'm crying. Like, I feel like I've been crying more lately. I don't know what's like,
It's just
I
coming
just
out of you.
Like, I'm not gonna cry. Like, I'm not someone who
Yeah.
cries in front of people. Like, I feel like my best friend's always like, I never see you cry. Like, I don't even cry in front of her. A lot of the event was showing people their potential, but also showing them how much they're outsourcing their potential to their excuses and like all these things that don't actually matter. And I did a lot of things that were a little like, I didn't know how people were going to respond. Like, I was like, are people going to walk out of the room? Like, there was one event we did where you had to look at pictures of people who had passed in your life and tell them all the excuses as to why you're not building the business that you want to build. And it was, and stuff like that. And so it was a lot of really like emotional stuff. It felt like to me, really need to bring the gravity to some things because I think we get really caught up in all this like small stupid stuff and to realize the potential that you have. And that's what I was trying to do. And it was very emotional. I cried at one point. I cried because I was seeing the evolution of my clients, and some of my clients who were there I've been working with for the past few months. So I know their story and I know what they've been going through, and to just see
Yeah.
how powerful they were at the end. At the beginning of the event, it was kind of like a Shark Tank style thing where you had to pitch yourself, and a lot of people are
Yeah.
very insecure and they came in like very closed off in their body language. And then by the end, just to see the transformation of they were just so powerful, and the way they spoke about themselves and the way they just sold themselves was way different. But it is a battle because it's definitely a skill to learn to teach someone in person. I mean, it's the same skill too when you're teaching online, where it's like you have to read body language and you have to know how far you can push and not. And I think just all being there together probably helped, because there were times when I asked really hard questions and it was uncomfortable. But something I always say when I'm doing in-person events is like, I'm okay being the bad guy. Like, and I always start this is like, I'm the reason I exist is to activate your ego. Like, I'm gonna say stuff to you that your ego is gonna be like, fuck you. I hate Danielle. She's a bitch. I'm gonna walk out of this event. This is dumb. Like, and I always preface that because I'm like, this is gonna happen. And I'm totally okay with that. And I actually encourage you to say, like, hey, I feel like my ego is calling you a bitch right now. Like, let's talk about it. Just knowing my vision and knowing the events that I've been to where I've seen such a transformation, like holding that and not feeling the need to like, it's okay. Like, and like when someone is having an emotional moment, to not soothe them and just let them have their process and just
Yeah.
trust in my ability and the process that I created, that it's going to work for them. And, of course, if they were struggling afterwards, I highly encourage them to talk to me, but it is definitely like a massive skill to be able to navigate very hard conversations and to hold people when they are very emotional.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I talk to you, like I already know this about you, but like you got some balls, like to one, host a space like that, to ask the questions that you do, but also even just like to attend events like that. Like you do have a very
Yeah.
energetic personality. You attend kind of like some crazy in the best way things. Like, I mean, I've never strapped a 20-pound weight to my body for 3 days, or like I'm sure you've slept in huts and that like you and
Yeah. Yeah.
Lexi would hang out very, very well. And I've always been jealous of that because like I feel like there is you have to kind of like get out of your comfort zone to then embrace what it looks like. Were you always ballsy? Like, when did this like adventure Danielle get formed? Because like it's so interesting talking about these experiences with you. I'm like, these are ballsy, bold events that you're
Yeah.
hosting and attending.
I don't know. I think I've always just been really, really fascinated with human behavior. When I was in high school, I always thought I was going to be a forensic psychologist. And that's essentially why I went into marketing, because I just like love human behavior and psychology. And I think that the different mentality that I have, and this is what I try to teach my clients on, is like when I see fears or insecurities or like times where I get very insecure or reactive, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't get like, oh, I felt insecure and now, oh, I feel bad for myself and blah, blah, blah. Like I tell a story all the time. I had a mentor who I was at a retreat and she scared the shit out of me. And I'm a very confident person. I was like, this woman like fucking scares me. So I went home and I
Like,
hired,
why? Or in a bad way.
yeah. And I went home and I hired her because I was like, what is she doing to make rattle me? Like that's kind of epic.
Yeah.
Like I want to learn from her. So I've always just gotten off on like fears and insecurities and times where I like act in a certain way and I don't want to. I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, that's really interesting. Like, why did I do that? Which is why I think I incorporate so much shadow work. I think I was doing shadow work for so long before I even knew what it was. I use my own self as like a learning tool. And the more I can get uncomfortable and the more that I don't know, get insecure, the more I can learn about myself. Because at the end of the day, like how I believe, just like to be confident, because people ask me all the time, like, how do you become confident? Like, what's the formula? And I think one piece is trusting yourself. So it's doing these micro things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, the smallest
Yeah.
micro things, and showing yourself I actually follow through the things I say I'm going to do, because most people don't. But two is having control of yourself. So it's if an emotion comes up, if an impulse comes up, if a reaction comes up, if you can control it and not let it play out, you
Yeah.
will know you're in control, right? So it doesn't matter what situation happened. Like if a client, if I'm going to have a hard client conversation or something's going to come up, like if I know I'm in control of myself no matter what, I know I can handle the situation. So I like to do these really like rogue things to see like where do I not have control so I
Yeah.
can build that so that I can really like do anything, honestly.
Yeah. Do you feel like that personality trait has been a weakness or one of your bigger strengths in building businesses and becoming an entrepreneur? The ballsiness, the boldness, the like willing to get out of your comfort zone. Like you just really have, you do have a confidence that I think probably for some other people, like you might have hired someone that was intimidating to you, but I'm assuming
Yeah.
people hire you because you
Yeah.
intimidate them as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think it is a good thing because I just do things. Like I just do them. Me and my husband built a camper van during COVID, and he always jokes like we'd still be thinking about the camper van if it wasn't for you because I'm just like let's just do it. Like let's just let's just do it. I'm kind of a do it and figure it out along the way kind of a person. I think that is a benefit because it definitely motivates my clients. It definitely shows them like just take messy action. I know everyone always says that, but it is like it's just I don't know. I just kind of figure it out. And like I'm not the right person for everyone. Like I get nervous to do free in-person trainings. I did one which had about, I think like 20 or 30 women in it. And I get nervous because I'm like, if they don't know me, I may be very repellent to you because I am very direct. And there were probably people at that training that now were like, fuck Danielle after this. But that's okay. I think I'm the perfect person. My personality is perfect for the people who need me.
Yeah. And I think that that's like a really important thing. Like we have to know that we're not for everyone, but the people that like love you really, really love you. What are you hoping to like take from your business moving forward? Is it bigger events? Is it the shadow work? I know we did talk about that a ton, but like where do you see the next like year or 2 year within your business? Like what are you going to be implementing and bringing to the table that's like different or unique or feels like most aligned for you?
Yeah, the grounded events, I'm not sure. It was very hard to do them in a day. So I did them in 6 hours because it felt I am like I'm very serious and I'm very emotional. I can get this depth out of you, but at the same time I'm very playful and I'm very fun. And like I didn't get to bring that part in. So it felt like it was very heavy, difficult. And like while we came out, it was like this arc and we came up at the end and it was powerful. Like I really think that a weekend type thing is like I need more time. I need more time with people. So I kind of see those evolving into maybe a weekend event retreat. I'm not sure yet, still figuring that out. But I think mostly getting really, and you've really helped me with this a lot over these past few months, is just like getting really clear on who I'm for. I think the two biggest mistakes that I made last year was like I said, talking about everything and not like actually being focused in what I'm really good at and what I lead with because and something I've learned a lot from you is like you lead with sales, but there's like so much you're good at. You just don't have to lead with it in your marketing, right? Like you're really good at systems and mindset and things like that, but you don't like lead with that. And so it's picking like what is it that is my specialty that I want to become known for and say it in a way that my audience actually cares about and
Yeah.
just like doubling down on that. So I think just really doubling down on marketing and that being my specialty. And while yes, I help you with like personal development and mindset and stuff like that, I don't necessarily need to lead with that. I think it's just a given, just based on my content and things like that. So just helping people with marketing. So I think it's just like staying really focused on that and also staying focused on like who I'm actually for. And I talked to you about this today where I think it was a long time like I could help everyone and I wasn't again
Right.
owning like I want to be for the people who are like the misfits and the weirdos and like they're dancing naked in the woods and they're taking psychedelics on the weekend they're on music festivals like the people who feel like the misfits like people always call me the mother of the misunderstood the mother of the misfits because
You
I
gotta use that in your marketing. Wait, I
yeah
fucking love
yeah
that. That
it's
needs to
on
be
my
like
it's
a
on my,
tagline or something. I love that.
it's on my Instagram page right now the mother of the misfits so I
It
kind of like
is? Oh my God, wait, I love that. I love
yeah,
that.
I just added that. There's a lot of people, and it's basically my own journey now that I'm now helping other people with, where they may see a lot of these women who are very professional, or they have like a really cool aesthetic, or like they have the girl boss vibes and things like that. And while that works for them because it's their personality and that's how they're successful, there's a lot of other women out there who are like, I'm not like that. Like, do I have to be? Do I have to change who I am? Can I be successful as I am? And like that's kind of the audience I want to target is the people who feel like the misfits or the rebels or the wild women who like don't necessarily feel like they fit into this mold of I have to market like this or like bro marketing or like I have to do these sales tactics that someone's telling me and it just doesn't work for me. I had a client hire me because she knew that I was going to help her market in the way that made sense for her and her brand because I don't teach you like my strategy. I teach you marketing strategy. So I teach you how to understand your brand and your audience and how your audience buys and like how to actually market based on that. She hired me because she's like the audience that I have. She's a trauma recovery coach, and she's like the audience that I have. I can't use these strategies. Like, it's just so repelling. And I know you're going to help me do that. So I think that's just zoning in on that audience. So I think over this next year, it's like really becoming known for the misfit marketing mommy, whatever, and just really zoning in on that and just finding my people and just really, really helping them.
Yeah, it's so funny because at the beginning of this episode, you're like, you felt so confident in your money coaching business because you're like, it was based on my story. And I think the reason that you're so confident now in your business is because it's based on your identity journey story. So you've
Yeah.
actually, in a way, like leaned away from the authority piece and leaned into the storytelling, which is where you felt the most confident and the most aligned in the first business too.
Yeah, that is
I don't
interesting.
know. I'm just like thinking about
Yeah.
that. I'm like, wait, come in fucking full circle in this little
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah.
think that's like really powerful. So for obviously Mother of the Misfits, is that what you call yourself? Mother of the I fucking love that. I love fucking love that. You need to write a book with that title. I don't know if that's in, but I'm ready for the book. I will be reading that book. For individuals, women, whoever's listening to this and they're like, I feel like the misfit, what would you tell them about like finding the joy and the excitement and the identity and the clarity in the misfit piece of them? Because I think everyone in the way feels like a misfit, but I know you mean it in a different way. But like, how can they use that as a superpower as they
Yeah.
move forward in business and branding and life and relationships and all of that? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think the biggest misunderstanding is like your aesthetic or your personality or your authority or your whatever is going to allow you to make sales in your business. And it's literally not. It's very, very simple. And it's how can you get people to value and prioritize your work? And that's it. And it doesn't matter what you look like, what your background is, like whatever, none of that matters. It's just how can you get people to value your work? And you can do that regardless of anything. And I think people don't realize that. So then what happens is then they morph themselves into like, well, I have to be like this or I have to be like that. And then kind of like what I was saying earlier is then you come off as performative. You're losing your it factor because you're not influencing people in the way that you're supposed to be influencing. So you're repelling people and you don't even realize it because people are like watching you and being like, oh, this feels a little performative. I can scroll through my feed and I can see when someone is talking and not in a way that I know that they're talking. Like it's just so obvious. Like you can literally, I do this all the time. I have my husband and my friends check my content. I'm like, does this sound like me? Does this sound like me? The whole last year, my husband was like, I don't know who this person is. Like, this is not you. And I was like, okay. Now he's like, yeah, this sounds like you. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice and you don't even realize it. And when you do show up as how you are, you get to like you're building a business, right? You didn't build a business to just replicate corporate or do something else. Like you're doing this is your business, this is your baby. Like there literally are no rules. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want. And so I think people forget that and you get to build a business how you want. And when you show up in the way that you want to show up, you then attract the people that you get to work with, right? Like you get to work with people that could be like your best friend. Like I literally feel like I'm talking to the coolest people all the time. That becomes your reality when you really lean into your unique it factor and things like there are literally so like especially now with ChatGPT, there are so much carbon copies and like people are sick of the same stuff. Like when you really come through and you share your personality and you speak from a place of like this is just naturally who I am and it's not forcing it, right? Like the mustache thing. I wear mustaches in my content, but I wore mustaches for years before I ever wore it in my content. So it wasn't
I
like
love the mustache. That is not my brand at all, but I love that it's Danielle's brand. She fucking owns the mustache. We'll see a mustache in her content.
yeah, exactly. But it's like I didn't do that like, oh, I should wear this because it's gonna get attention and like this will it's like, no, I just did it because that's who I am and like I wear mustaches outside of this. So it's you will really create this it factor by yourself because you can do all the strategies you can like I think you said this today actually like if someone copied my exact strategy would I be successful and you're like well no because it's not you like you have to bring in your it factor and the way that you influence people you could have the best marketing strategy in the world but if you're performing either you're just going to bring people you don't want to work with to begin with and you're going to create something that like a year from now you're going to be like I don't even want to build this and I think I had a moment like that when I was doing the super corporate professional thing I was like wait if I see how this goes in a year from now and this is what I'm creating, I don't want this. Like, this is not why I built this business. So it's just remembering, like, what do I want to build? And literally anything is possible. I've seen people build the craziest things, like the craziest event, the craziest business, that, like, anything is honestly possible.
It's so fucking true. And also, I think what I really love about how you describe identity, well, describe really like finding your it factor in general is a lot of people think like I can integrate it, but you're like, I just own it. Like I just make it like front and center of what I do. And you almost lead with the identity and then let the authority and the other pieces of what you do like kind of follow the identity. Like identity really is at the forefront of all what you do. And I think that's what like your superpower has become this year.
Yeah, because it's like you have to get people to pay attention to you first, and then you have to get them to stay around to value you. So I think it's getting people to pay attention to you is definitely your it factor, and like knowing how to grab people's attention. And then you get to then supplement that with, no, I actually know what I'm doing. I'm actually really good at what I do, and I can show you that. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I could talk about identity literally all day because I do like, I think what I've realized as a business owner is so many people lean into strategy. And a lot of the times, like I said this today, people, when they take strategies, like they're driving down the street and they're like, oh, new strategy. And they literally like hop their car to like a new street. It's like new lane, new idea, new pathway, new everything. And I'm like, identity really is about like upgrading your car, like putting some
yeah,
cool rims on it and like putting everything else on, like making it yours, but like sticking to the path, because a lot of times you don't need to completely pivot in order to be successful. It's really just about like elevating and expanding like who you are and making it feel unique and fun and energizing and fast. Like
yeah,
people want to move fast, people want to succeed, people want to like see that next path. So I think that's really powerful. I have one last question for you that has nothing to do with identity, unless you want to bring
yeah.
something identity to the
No,
table.
bring it.
Tell us something for everyone who follows you, and it might be wearing mustaches in your content. I'm all about it. What's something you're indulging on right now? It could be a book, a podcast,
Ooh.
a just something fun. It could be a mushroom retreat. I don't know anything about that, so you can say that too. What's something that you're indulging on that you want to share with our audience?
I think that there was a lot. So, I'm like I'm part of like the spiritual community and the healers and things like
Yeah,
that. And I think like there was a time period in my life where I was going through all this growth and like this evolution. I was like, I have to be the most conscious human being and I have to
yeah,
do all these things. And I was like almost in this like state of psychosis where you were over analyzing yourself and like, I have to be this certain person. That was probably about a year ago during this whole time where I was doing the whole pendulum swing thing. I kind of was like, oh, I cannot do mushrooms and I cannot drink alcohol and I cannot do this because it makes me not conscious and things like that. And I've had a completely different perspective about it recently where I'm like, I actually do like to dabble in alcohol and I do like to take mushrooms and like I like to dabble in that kind of stuff. And it's like it's such a different experience recently. And I said this is somewhere where it's like I don't do it now to rely on it, but I do it to enhance my experience or like take something from it. So that's been something for me personally because I used to have like a very weird relationship with like alcohol and drugs and things like that where now I'm like able to do it and then not feel bad about it. And it does kind of come back to like control too, where like I know now and I've built the ability to just like know my business so well and be able to show up even if I'm tired, even if I'm not creative, even if whatever. So like if I went out and like stayed up till 3 a.m. on a weekend, like I know I can come in Monday and just still be fine, even if I'm like not if I'm tired or whatever. So I think it's just about like honestly being more human and being more playful and not having these like strict rules around what I have to do or what I can't do. It's just like during the week, like I deliver on my clients' results and I get them really great results and I do that. But like I can really do whatever I want. And I think for a long time I made myself wrong and was like, you have to do things in a certain way because people pay you thousands of dollars. You cannot drink alcohol or like, whatever it may be. And I just have a completely different perspective on that now.
I love it. I love the playful. I think people take life too seriously. And also, life is already fucking heavy enough. And I am not like, that is not necessarily like my way of getting playful. Like, I think you and I are very different people,
Yeah.
which is, I think, why we like get along because we have similar integrity and visions and ideas and we love the same stuff, but we're very different human beings. People would definitely hire us for different
Yeah.
reasons. But I think the thing that I really love about you is like you live in the play and you let the play drive a lot of the authority and drive a lot of who you are, and it makes people feel very safe in working with
Yeah.
you. And I think that's like a testament of just all the growth and expansion that you've had over these last couple of years. So I'm just so happy you could come on the podcast and talk a little bit about identity and your shifts. And thanks for like your honesty and transparency today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. No, it was so fun.
All right. And then where can people find you, Danielle?
Yeah, so mainly on Instagram. So that's Danielle Marie Lowy on Instagram, and yeah, that's mainly where I just promote myself on Instagram. I'm coming out with a new membership called Feral Marketers Club, which
Love
is
it.
exactly for the people that I just talked about this entire episode. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. That'll be coming out in a few weeks.
Danielle, mother of the misfits, thanks for coming on the pod. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.